All right, we know that this is the fight that's going to be happening, right? Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena, but I wasn't originally so excited for this fight. Like, look, it's interesting, Islam going up to welterweight, until I saw this clip of Jack Della Maddalena's coach confidently claiming that Jack is going to knock out Islam. And his coach brings up a lot of good points, and I want to react to it. Look, guys, I got to be honest. I spent all last week complaining about the fact that we're not getting Ilya versus Islam, right? But I haven't had the chance to acknowledge that this fight is also a good fight. I have been saying for years, I want Islam to go up to welterweight. And like I said, it just sucks, man, that I feel like it's this bittersweet feeling that we missed out on a massive fight like Ilya Islam. I know not everybody feels the same way, specifically if you're an Islam Makhachev fan, but that's just my opinion. But still, I'm trying to appreciate, trying to stay grateful, you know what I mean? Not trying to, take for granted the fights that are coming up. And this is a good fight. Let's look at some of what Jack Della Maddalena is doing, and we're also going to listen to his coach, guys. Let's actually see what's going on. So here's a clip I want to watch with you guys and react. Jack Della Maddalena immediately after his win against Bilal Muhammad. This is how confident his team is. This is why I'm showing you guys. I wanted to show you guys how confident that their team is that they could beat Islam.
Makhachev next, right?
So you see, like, this Jack asking for Islam Makhachev next. Dana not being committal, one way or the other.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
And yeah, just thanking Hunter, Dana.
Legends, guys.
All right, so that was basically it, guys.
Save the division. Save it.
And I've seen Jack Della Maddalena's coach say in interviews recently that, look, Jack Della Maddalena is going to be very similar to Israel Adesanya, Alexander Volkanovski, in the way that they were both very active throughout their career, right? They both were taking on many fights, defending their titles most times, like 3 times a year. And that's what we need, especially when the welterweight division, I mean, there's a lot of contenders, and Islam Makhachev's not even a welterweight, right? Like, which means it's just going to take even longer for these contenders to actually get a shot. But I'm still excited for this fight, guys. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen, but it's just the truth of the matter. We're delaying things, and it's going to cause problems probably within next year or something like that. And I mean, we're already seeing apparently Jack Della Maddalena, he's training in the gym already. And like I said, I mean, when we're talking about the fact that Jack Della Maddalena wants to take fights, be active, right? I mean, honestly, Jack Della Maddalena, he's had a lot of problems with injuries, and that has kind of affected him, but that has been why, like, because of the layoffs, right? He broke his arm at one point. So, I mean, honestly, like, we have been hearing that there's a Perth card in September, which I'm not so sure about. UFC Noche is also in September, but I want to talk about that because that card might be affected. I'm not sure what's going to go on with that, because apparently the arena that the UFC is going to, it's not finished, or at least their construction is delayed, and they've even canceled concerts like Katy Perry recently. So I would stay tuned to see if that event gets moved, and if it does, do they, kind of scrap UFC Noche? Do they make that a fight night main event, and do they do a pay-per-view in Sydney? I don't know. We're going to have to see. But this is what you guys are waiting for, right? I mean, Jack Della Maddalena's coach, we've talked about him on the channel. I mean, he exposed Ian Gary in a pretty brutal way. So this guy is always usually bringing some heat in these interviews, bringing some topics of conversation. So yeah, WJDM's coach, guys. But let's react, because I found this very interesting. I didn't see the full clip. We're going to see the full clip now, but I saw it on Twitter, and he seemed extremely confident, breaking down a lot of the reasons why JDM could beat Islam. And as somebody who was maybe more on the fence about this matchup, it made me kind of lean towards more JDM, hearing him explain, hearing his thoughts, and just hearing the pure confidence.
I gotta ask you, man, how do you see Islam as a challenge for you guys? Obviously, he's one of the best lightweights to do it. How do you think that translates over into welterweight?
Yeah, I think obviously he's brilliant. I don't know that fight is definitely not signed, and I haven't heard from our team that it's happening. I've only seen what's been said in the media, so I just want to put that out there. I'm talking about it because it seems to be what's happening, but there's been no indication at my end as to whether it is or it isn't. But I watched them. I had a lot of time on my hands in the last X amount of hours coming back from Canada, and I watched a bit of footage on Makhachev in particular the Poirier fight, and I've never watched
fight to look at
Makhachev before as a potential opponent. I've always just enjoyed him fighting because he's brilliant.
Now, before we get into like his criticisms about the fight, it is worth noting that Islam seemed to have staff that week, and I think that will kind of affect your performance. And I do kind of wonder if that is why that fight was a lot closer than some of Islam's other fights, right? I mean, Renato Moicano, he brutally submitted, and he is, more of a grappler than Dustin is.
I enjoyed him fighting because he's brilliant to watch. But I think Jack will knock him out.
Wow, that's a bold prediction.
What was it in the Dustin Poirier fight that led you to that conclusion as you were flying back on a shitty Virgin flight in Canada?
Well, the first jab he took, Poirier only hit him once in the first round, and the first jab he took, when he got the takedown afterwards, he was like wincing and like rubbing his eye. And I just feel like he's not used to taking damage. He's not used to being in tough fights with someone pushing the pace.
That's very interesting, guys.
And I actually
want to comment on that. Now, I have to be very careful how we view this because obviously this is copyrighted material. So UFC take mercy, YouTube take mercy. I'm trying to copy. I'm trying to follow these rules here of the copyright and all this. But look, if you guys recall, this was Islam Makhachev against Renato Moicano. And I mean, look, I'm gonna try not. Like I said, I'm gonna try to be careful. I mean, you see, like Renato was just swinging. And, you know, you see Islam Makhachev duck his head. Like, Islam, a lot of people have said, like, he has good defense. And he has good striking. He has good defense pushing forward, guys. But when you push a guy like Islam back, this is when you usually see him fall apart. And, guys, it's worth noting, you know, if you go, like, look, I mean, he doesn't get, like, completely knocked down. It's kind of hard for me to show you guys the angle. It's kind of like an arm punch that gets him a little off balance. He kind of slips. You can see kind of the foot. And he falls, but you could tell like this is like he can get mixed up. He's not like a guy, you know, Dustin Poirier wouldn't make the same mistake. There's no way that this would happen with Dustin Poirier because he has a better base. He's more comfortable on the feet for all those reasons. Renato caught him by surprise, and if Renato Moicano caught you by surprise, I think JDM, you know, who is, you know, up a weight class, who is shown to have good takedown defense, who is, you know, shown to have good counters for takedowns, right? Showing the knees, showing the uppercuts. I think that's gonna be a bit of a problem, right? And his coach brings up just now, you know, we're gonna hear him talk more about it. You know, Islam's been knocked out, so that it even adds more to that.
Pushing the pace, and he's been knocked out before. So, listen, and Jack's got size on him.
Exactly. That's why I think it's a big thing,
perfect like warm-up fight if you're going to fight Makhachev.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point
but
too.
Anyone, like I see holes in them all, and I think Jack's the complete package. Add to all of his skills, the chin, and then just the pure will and grit to get the job done.
You know, a lot of people say Jack Della Maddalena hits it very hard, and that's what's so surprising about him. So I could see him catching Islam Makhachev, guys, and I'm not some Islam Makhachev hater. Like, this is just me saying I think this is a really interesting matchup, guys. And I know I've spent a lot of time hating on the fact that we didn't get Ilya Islam, and I've been saying I'm so disappointed. This is a great fight. If the Ilya Islam thing was never presented to us, I would be so happy. I'd be hyping this fight up. Trust me. It's a little bittersweet. So I'm trying to focus on the positive here. We move on. You know, let's hope everything works out. And yeah, I mean, I think this fight could potentially happen in September. I think it makes sense. Why not have it happen sooner rather than later? I mean, we talked about, I believe in my last video, Ali Abdelaziz coming out basically saying if Jack Della Maddalena doesn't defend his title by the end of the year, the UFC is going to strip him. We talked about that on my last video, guys. Go check it out. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.